This episode is brought to you by North Texas Honda Dealers. North Texas Honda Dealers, they're here to help.
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
The throw goes to the right side for Crabtree. It's caught. He he's going hard there, Red Raider.
Bunty up the 10. Bunty up the right sideline.
Yep, he's got to go. He's tackled. Sam Houston wins it. The Bearcats capture their first FCS championship.
Hello, and welcome to the Republic of Football. I'm your host, Ishmael Johnson, the college editor here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. The energy in my voice is about as accurate as what the week slate looks like this week. So we'll dive into it regardless. Sitting here next to me, of course, is Carter Yates. How you doing, bud?
We knew this week was coming.
Sure.
We had a wonderful week 2
Yeah.
college football slate. But if you don't love me at my Texas, Bama, and A&M, Miami, then you can't love me at my SMU Prairie View. You know?
We'll also talk about some teams that are very happy about this week's slate, that are
that
looking
need it.
forward to this week very much. That other voice you hear is, of course, everyone's favorite Mal Pal, Mallory Hartley. How you doing, Mallory?
Good. Tired too.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
we got to
For
power
this
through.
beautiful,
I gotta
this
power
beautiful
through.
week 3 slate that we have to power through.
Well, I noticed Ish brewed some of that dark, bold community coffee brew before we started this because
Let's get that brand.
he's going to
right
need to
there.
be drinking some of that after talking about this slate.
Good
Before we
one.
get into that, though, we got some housekeeping. First of all, thank you for watching on Facebook or Twitter, YouTube. Of course, listen to all the other shows on the Republic of Football feed. We got all those, I believe, by Thursday or on Thursday. Everybody's weekly episodes will be published. So if you're a fan of any of the 13 FBS teams, feel free to check any of them out. Let's get to some housekeeping, though. You know, weekly, Mike Craven publishes his power poll. We're going to go through that really quickly. Mallory, if you would throw that up for the watchers, I should say, not the listeners. All right, so from last week, things didn't really change much on the bottom. Actually, I will say, so North Texas stayed at the bottom, which is, didn't change.
Yeah,
Sam
accurate.
Houston and UTEP, though, did a little swap. Despite Sam Houston not winning, they did switch because they've now played at BYU and against a good Air Force team, and unfortunately, they have not scored a touchdown
They held
yet.
their own, though.
But they lost 13-3. Or
Yeah.
13-0, I think was the other one. Or was it both 13-3?
14-0 was the first
Yes,
one.
14-0 at BYU and then 13-3 against
Yeah.
Air Force. So probably if you're Sam Houston, you're probably feeling more optimistic than you are about if you're a UTEP fan. So, of course, at the very top, things didn't change. Texas, we can talk a little bit about it, pulled off the win that we were kind of really curious about as far as that team reaching its ceiling. Go listen to the recap episode on Sunday for our full thoughts on it, but we can kind of wrap up everything here. Carter, as far as let's look at the top before we get to the bottom. Is there anything right now in the top 5 that you would have just said, I didn't see that?
Well, I didn't see Rice being in the top 5.
No.
Yeah. But when we started the season. But I think after that win versus Houston, you have to put them above Houston. And I think that's more of Texas Tech and Baylor getting off to worse starts than I imagine. That's why Rice has, scratched the top 5 of the surface. But also, we talked about it a bit on the recap episode, but Rice losing 37-10 to Texas, everyone was kind of like worried about the Longhorns going into that Alabama game. Now that Texas smoked Alabama, and I'm going to say smoked.
Sure, go ahead.
Because
they missed on some opportunities to
They
run that up.
physically dominated Alabama.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen that, I think Rice is just a much better football team than we were giving them credit for. So I did not see Rice at 5. TCU at 2. This one's puzzling to me a little bit.
Sure.
Because I know we want to say now that Colorado is this juggernaut now, and I agree Colorado is probably a bowl team. TCU has played them, looked not good on the defensive side, and played nickels, which showed us nothing. So TCU is a team I have no idea what they truly are, and that's why I'm so excited we get to it later, the TCU-Houston matchup. But I have no idea who this TCU football team is.
Yeah, it's puzzling to put TCU at 2, but also you have to look at the rest and be like, who the heck would you rank ahead of them?
As based off
Maybe
what we know,
SMU,
I was about to say,
right?
based off what
You know?
we know right now, you could definitely make that argument in terms of like you could look at SMU and say, I like SMU, right? But regardless, it's still just La Tech, right? And so, like, you could say the same with TCU, but you could argue that in a loss to a Colorado team that actually looks pretty good, do you trust that more than a La Tech? Well, I don't know, right?
Right.
I think 2
We just don't know much right now.
I think 2 through 5 is very fluid. Right, probably 2 through 6. Obviously, 5 and 6 got to stay that way because they played head to head. But like UTSA as a winner, or Houston as a winner of UTSA, right? And so like you have to consider that as a very good win. And so I'd say 2 through 6 is probably fluid. And like, I mean, you could end up with like all 5 of those teams not being in the top 5 by the end of the year, or like one of them being in the top 5, right? I think there's so much fluidity, and I think honestly, if I knowing Craven, I think he just had to put him in some order.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you ask him 5 minutes after he put this out, he'd probably be like, yeah, I'd probably switch a couple of these.
Let me be clear. I'm not questioning this poll. Like,
No, sure,
I
sure.
respect the poll, but it's just it is so fluid.
Yeah.
I really think there is a clear number 1 and a clear number 13, and
Yes.
that's about it. Sorry,
Yes.
Mallory, that was mean. But
Well,
that's what I
yeah,
think.
I understand.
Yeah.
I respect
So,
it.
yeah, and I mean, that kind of hints on, I don't think anybody expected number 13 to be who it was so far this year.
No.
I'll take some people behind the scenes when we're planning kind of like where people are going to be. Carter, I think I was talking to you. I think what week was it? Week 6?
7.
Week 7. You were like, hey, I don't have a game for week 7, at least right now. Obviously, when results happen, certain games become of greater importance, things like that. But we like to have a rough skeleton of like where people will be. Carter was like, hey, week 7, I'm not really sure where I need to be. And I told him initially, hey, pencil in Temple at UNT, because UNT is probably going to be 4-1 at around that time, because I figured they'd take care of business. And the back half of their schedule is so difficult that I was like, they might go 1 win from here on out. I didn't expect them to now be looking at this game this week as like, please, 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 we need this win against La Tech. But yeah, so that's one team that I definitely did not expect to be even in the bottom 4. I thought literally they'd be one of the teams creeping to the top 6 because their schedule was so favorable to start the year.
Oh, and flash forward to yesterday, Eric Morris's press conference where he's like, we need to reset expectations for this year. That's not what you want to hear
In
2
No.
weeks in.
No, in week 3 of the
You think he was talking to
season.
himself? He was like, I
think-
need to actually, this is not what I thought. So I need to actually reset.
Because sometimes you got to say it out loud to like just convince yourself, because I do that too. So I wonder if that's what he was doing.
Look, rebuilding year 0.
It's year 0.
Back
It's
to
okay.
year 0 off a bowl team that was in the conference championship last year. Okay. One last thing before we get to our game previews. Of course, we had some big news drop for the people of Lubbock out of Central Texas. Lake Belton, wide receiver, 5-star, the number 1 wide receiver in the state, according to Greg Powers, our recruiting guy here at Dave Campbell's. Micah Hudson committed to Texas Tech. This is something that we had heard was in the rumblings for a while.
It was cooking.
It was cooking for a bit. Even dating back to before 7-on-7. Honestly, we were hearing a lot of stuff about how they were kind of the front runner for him.
It was cooking for a bit, but the oven timer still shocked me when it went off.
Exactly.
On
So-
Monday night after they went 0-2, during Monday Night Football.
Yes, I was pulling into the parking lot of the gym, and I checked my phone before I got out of my car, and I saw Jordan Scruggs from 247 tweet out like, "Oh, they called me a madman" or something. I was like, what's he talking about? And I was like, and I saw what he was quote tweeting. I was like, did he just commit right now? Because like for those of you who don't know, Scruggs and Powers are 2 of the guys that were pretty much on this Micah Hudson beat for a while, and so when he tweeted that out, and a lot of people were kind of skeptical. It was like, oh, he's not committing to Tech. He's it's going to be Texas or A&M or whatever. And so Scruggs was very much adamant. It was like, he's going to Tech, and like I'm very confident in that. And so when that dropped, I was like, he didn't commit now. It was
There's no way.
7 p.m.
It was
Something
right
like that?
before Monday Night Football.
7 p.m. right before Monday Night Football, and I was like, that did not happen just now. And I look online, I'm like, if only you guys could see our Slack, because I'm like, where's Powers? Somebody publish a story. Do we have this? Can I have this for tomorrow? Like, I was like in like scramble mode in the middle of a parking lot on like pre-workout, trying to get ready.
Hey, at least you were on pre-workout.
I
Like
guess
you
so.
were.
Yeah.
You were
I was
already
very
hyped
amped.
up.
I was very
Yeah.
ready to go. But yeah, thanks, Micah, for that.
For a guy who does not use social media at all, he is pound for pound like the funniest
he's
recruit
hilarious.
on
100%.
social media.
So yes. For those of you that don't know, first follow Micah Hudson on Twitter. He's fantastic.
He's so funny.
He is he's very much a good-hearted troll.
Yep.
When it comes to he will reply to people who at him, like critics and all that, who at him saying like, who was one of them? He went out of Twitter. Somebody said, is he going to stick with Tech if they go 6-6? And he added him, and there was like a gif of like Snoop Dogg dancing. He was like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, whatever. And so he's very much somebody who's lighthearted, but still a troll, likes to have fun with a lot of fans and critics. So I think he deleted like a lot of his tweets for a while. He had like an A&M header for a bit, just like when everybody like was a little like, oh, what's he going to do? He put up an A&M. I was told that was just like for fun. He didn't really.
He was trying to throw him off the set.
He
But
was
if you're really plugged in,
Yes.
you knew.
100%. And so he would constantly delete his tweets over and over again to just like wipe the slate clean. Now everything's just Tech. You know, his first tweet, or quote unquote first tweet, was his commitment to Tech.
Yeah.
And then the rest are just replies. Like he has no like base tweets. If you just go to tweets, you have to go to tweets and replies because they're all just replies to other people right now. So
That's awesome.
He's fun. Go check out all the stories we have on TexasFootball.com. We have a bunch. I put one up over what it means for Joey McGuire and kind of his build at Texas Tech for him to get Micah Hudson and Will Hammond, the 4-star quarterback out of Hutto. Greg Powers has a piece for subscribers only. Please subscribe to hear about everything he heard about how it happened. This is a relationship that goes back to Waco. Of course, Lake Belton's around that area anyway. So this is a relationship that goes back years and years and years to Joey McGuire's last job. And then, of course, Powers has a video breakdown on TexasFootball.com as well. So, yeah, please go check out all that stuff. We had a lot of content on Micah Hudson just because it was something that we were able to prepare for. And it is a seismic commitment for Texas Tech.
It is seismic. Seeing him live at 7-on-7 and then just go on Twitter and search Micah Hudson's name. There is just
insane,
highlights
man.
galore. And
Yeah.
he is straight. I mean, he's run after the catch.
Yeah.
He's catching traffic. I mean, he runs every route on the route tree. He is almost like the team for Lake Belton, at least on the offensive side. You can't really overstate how big of a commitment this was for Joey McGuire and how big of a time it was for them, considering the start of the year hasn't been what they hoped. Now, I will do a shameless plug. I just had a story come out about the different 0-2s and why Baylor's 0-2 kind of feels like the sky's falling, and Tech's 0-2 still feels like they have everything to play for. Part of that reason is because they just got Micah Hudson, who's like the best recruit, highest rated recruit they've ever signed. And it just shows you that confidence in Joey McGuire that a lot of these recruits are starting to have.
Yeah, Mike Craven put out on our Slack chat. He was like, I think maybe because they were 0-2, they were like, hey, could you push that announcement up a little?
Yes.
Which wouldn't be shocked either. If he was a lock, he might as well push it now, get some good vibes going. But yeah, no, like you said, it is kind of a different 0-2, but it kind of marks the benefits and the kind of the overall mindset that I think Tech has in general about the overall project under Joey McGuire. All right, so that's kind of the housekeeping news that we have. Mallory, let's get to this week's games, and let's start with I'm not going to say the only game that I'm interested in, but I'm going to say the game that I'm by far the most interested in.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably like our only like top matchup, I guess, of the week because it's obviously the most intriguing.
Yes.
So let's get into it. TCU playing at Houston in their Big 12 opener this Saturday at 7 p.m. You can watch it on Fox. TCU coming in as 7.5-point favorites. And the over-under set at 52. This is Houston's Big 12
I'm
opener.
stoked for this game.
I am actually very excited for this
One, because Houston's Big 12 opener, Big 12 conference opener.
Yeah. It's
a big moment for them. Yes.
I'm so jealous Craven's going to this game. I mean, that's going to be an electric atmosphere. But also because I don't know what to expect from either of these teams.
Sure.
I hinted about it with the TCU, but you almost don't even watch the film on the Nichols game because it's like, okay, that's just a ramp up for this week. But then Houston, a team that was in a defensive slugfest with UTSA and then a shootout with Rice.
Right.
And a team that we expected the defense wasn't going to be very good. They looked like world beaters against UTSA.
And then they just get bullied against Rice.
And then got bullied by Rice. Like, what do you expect from this Houston team?
I'll tell you what I should expect from TCU. I'm licking my chops if I'm the play caller for TCU and I'm looking at that Rice game saying we can run the ball. Because that's something that they were able to do against Colorado that they abandoned a little too quickly, a little too often for me. Monty Bailey had a great game against Colorado, but they insisted on Chandler Morris kind of winning them that game. Last week they didn't have to run the ball a lot against Nichols, so they didn't really. Again, Monty Bailey had like 70 yards, I think, on like 15 or so carries. So whatever, I don't take that with much salt. Houston, they just got mowed over, right? Of course, JT Daniels was fantastic too, showing that they get beat through the air. I'm looking at that offensive line saying, I think we can get a forward push, right? Now, if I'm Houston, I'm probably thinking the same about TCU's defense because their offense has not looked that great, right? I think Donovan Smith, we can have the Donovan Smith discussion again, but he is what he is, and I think he is somebody who can move the offense. You're not going to be the most prolific offense probably with him, but with receivers like Manjack, like Golden, he has weapons. TCU, as we saw, can get got at versus like
this
Colorado.
Is the statement game for TCU's defense,
yes,
I believe.
Because this is an offense that's not very prolific, and you're playing a quarterback that can turn the ball over. And can you force him to turn the ball over? And we saw for 3 quarters them get shut out against Rice, or 2.5. I forget exactly when they started their comeback, but they were down 21-0 to Rice. And I love Rice.
28-0.
28-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I love Rice. Their defense is not all world, so let's just put it that way.
They sure looked like it.
They sure look like it, which is the point. Like, I think it's a statement game potentially for TCU's defense, but also for Houston's offense potentially, because they could be like, this is an offense, this is the defense I can get got at. Can Golden and Manjack have like incredible games and just like go off?
And I saw too that Dana Holgerson in his press conference really challenged Manjack and Golden, because Matthew Golden was the guy who's supposed to be the clear-cut number one wide receiver in absence of Tank Dell. And through the first 2 games, he's been a little quiet. He's had some flash plays. I believe he might be leading their team in touchdowns. I'm not exactly sure, but I know he's got a couple of touchdowns. And Manjack, he made a fan out of me when I watched him versus UTSA. One, I love the no swag, no armbands, no gloves.
Yes.
That's just awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
2, he was great running after the catch. He never got brought down by the first guy. I don't think he played as well versus Rice. So this is a wide receiver group that I'm extremely interested to see play TCU secondary, because we kind of over the offseason were like, okay, they lose Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, the Thorpe winner, but Josh Newton is like the better corner.
I was about to say.
We thought.
I mean, again, he might have just went again. We're gonna rewrite so much of in my opinion, after this week. Honestly, probably if you ask me in November, we're gonna look back on that Colorado game and saying, I think they just ran into lightning in a bottle in terms of like. Nobody really knew how good Shadur Sanders was. Yeah. Travis Hunter is going to New York for a Heisman. I think we all underestimated the coaching staff at Colorado as well, how well they were able to scheme up the guys. But also, maybe the trenches are a little bit better than we thought maybe at Colorado. Not great, but maybe a little bit better. And I would not be shocked if we're looking at TCU and they're maybe like 3rd in the Big 12. 4th in the Big 12.
Yeah. Let me say, I'm not trying to hint that like Josh Newton is bad or
sure.
anything. Like, he's very good.
But to your point, we had all that hype for him, and then Travis Hunter did that to him.
Yeah, but it's also like not even with the Colorado game. It's so. I know this is 2 weeks ago, but it's so interesting because it's like
that's the only barometer we have.
Colorado's wide receivers, as a whole, even outside of Travis Hunter, are very like Xavier Weathers, and Jimmy Horn. Like those guys are electric too. So
I believe Kylan Evans also gets involved in the passing game for them too. Like they had so many dudes just out in making receptions that it was hard to just kind of like single anybody out.
But Houston has not, I wouldn't say a 3-headed monster.
Or Dylan Edwards. I don't know why I said Kylan Evans. Sorry, go ahead.
But Houston, I won't say a 3-headed monster, but it is like, Manjack, Golden, and then Sam Brown has been very good for them the first 2 games. That's been their 3rd guy who's really stepped up. So it will be a solid test for that secondary to say, like, look, I know you ran into lightning in a bottle with Colorado, but you need to kind of prove something here
100%.
Against Houston.
And I think the other thing that's going to be a big test for me is TCU's been the one thing they were able to do against Colorado was stop the run. Colorado could not run the ball at all. They had to kind of get everybody out in space. Houston, 3 weeks in, are we still going to be looking at this team going, where's the Alden McCaskill replacement? It kind of has to be by committee just because you can't replace somebody like that in a couple months. Donovan Smith has to be involved, but TCU's very good against the run. So are we going to go 3 weeks into the season being like, I still don't know anything about Houston's run game either, which puts more pressure on the passing game and Donovan Smith. And, I don't know. I'm kind of that's what I'm really worried about as well, is that the one thing we have been able to figure out with this TCU defense so far, even through Colorado, is that apparently they're pretty good against the run. I don't know. Like you said, this is easily the most intriguing game this week. But I don't know which way to. My heart tells me TCU comfortably.
Yeah.
Like, what's the spread in this one again?
8.5. Oh no, excuse me, 7.5.
7.5.
TCU.
I'd probably take TCU to cover that pretty comfortably in my opinion. Like my gut tells me, TCU
by a score and like a field goal or something.
Right, like Colorado's turns out to be a sneaky dark horse in the Pac-12, and they lost a shootout to them. They didn't get blown out by them. So
I think it's really going to come down to Donovan Smith. Do you take care of the football?
Sure, 100%.
I think that's what's really this game is going to come down to, because Houston can keep this game close. I do think TCU is the better team. I do think they will win this game, but it can get ugly real quick if Houston's just coughing up the football and giving it away.
I think so.
Another thing about TCU, though, I want to float a take out there and see what y'all think about this. I feel like their run game with Amani Bailey and Trey Sanders could be better than it was last year with just Kendra Miller.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with
think
that.
so.
I really like
Trey
that
Sanders
those two.
is a talented guy. He's just been hurt by injuries, right? And I think that when you have somebody like a Kendra Miller, you don't really need to be diverse, right? In your run game, you just give it to Kendra Miller. So I can agree with that. Like I think where they're gonna miss probably Max Duggan was such a big part of the run game, and Chandler Morris isn't that type of guy, and so I think that's where they'll probably struggle a little bit more. But as far as like depth in the backfield, I feel like
Chandler Morris
not against the realm of possibility.
Chandler Morris is the definition of sneaky athletic.
Oh, 100%.
Because when he takes off, I'm like, wow, he's actually really fast. But like, he is actually the sneaky athletic coach's kid.
He's the stereotype.
First guy in, last guy out. Like, he is actually that guy.
He is that guy. We'll be glued for that one, definitely. Go check out Craven's piece, by the way, over Sonny Dykes and Dana Holgerson about their connections to Mike Leach and how Mike Leach basically pointed at a map and sent one to Houston and one to DFW, and that's where they ended up coaching. So that's a pretty cool little nugget. Be glued to that one. And Mallory, what's next?
Let's switch to the wide zone here.
All right.
Army playing at UTSA this Friday, September 15th at 6 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN. UTSA favored by 8.5. The over-under set at 44. This Army team is really bad.
Yeah, they're trying different. I mean, like Carter mentioned, he complained about the troops going with the shotgun.
With the shotgun, yeah.
I think
it's
Monk,
disgusting.
They're implementing a new offense there. It has not looked great by all accounts, and
UTSA's defense is really good.
This year, I was about to say, I think that's been the surprising. I think Jared Kalmus from Alamo Audible was on Texas Football Today, and they asked him, I think this is on the Tuesday episode yesterday, they asked him what's been the surprising thing, and it's been their defense, right? Like, they've been legitimately really good. They were able to just make TJ Finley's life hell. They were able to stop the run against Texas State. And then even against Houston wasn't able – Frank Harris had the worst game of his life, and yet they were within a possession of making it a game because of that defense. So I think they'll be fine because Army can't seem to really do much on offense right now while they're trying to work out the kinks of this.
No.
But, of course, this one to me is the thing I'm going to look for is if Frank Harris can play a full game, right? And I mean a full game in terms of like the full snaps that he is allotted, right? If they're up by big, obviously they're going to pull him, and Eddie Lee Marburger is going to come in. But I hope he does not have to come out before it's his time to come out. Let's put it that way.
It's just watching Frank Harris right now. It's just, we talked about it a bit on the recap show, but every hit he takes, I'm holding my breath.
Sure. And I think everybody in San Antonio is too.
Yeah.
I want to see him, one, not get touched
Yes.
in this game.
Yes.
That's for one. If he does get touched, I want to see him pop up a little bit quicker than he has been. And not like, I'm not dogging him like, oh, he's being weak or whatever. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, just based on the health, I need him. I need him to be
durable.
I want him to see him be a little bit more durable. I want UTSA's defense to knock Army back to 1950 for running the shotgun. And I
don't know about that. They were good in the 1950s, so I don't know. I think they were like
I know. I wanted to knock them back to doing that when they were good.
Okay, I get what you mean. Yeah, put them back in the good times.
Like they're trying to fast forward. They're trying to go to 2010 right now.
Go back to where you need to be.
Yes. And I want Trey Moore and Danye Taylor to run amok in that backfield.
That'll work.
Those two guys, I mean, really, the game changer for UTSA, I think, has just been their pressure in the backfield. It is nuts.
I think Finley was sacked 5. It probably should have been he was sacked like 5 times. He probably should have been like 7 or 8. It was that bad. And also, this should be a big Kavorian Barnes game because Army cannot stop the run. I think ULM had over 200 yards on the ground, averaging like 6 yards a carry. ULM did.
Yeah.
And so Kavorian Barnes ride that dude all day long because he will be probably averaging like 8 yards a carry.
Here's what I think UTSA should do is go into like Seattle Seahawks 2011 mode.
Oh, Marshawn Lynch.
With you got the great defense. You got game manager Russell Wilson.
Yes.
And you got an awesome running game.
Marshawn Lynch. Yeah.
So I think Frank Harris is a guy who first game aside, he knows how to not turn the ball over and make mistakes. Then you lean on Kevorian Barnes, who is a beast.
Yeah.
And then the defense, you get after the quarterback. You win every game 20-14.
Yeah, that's not bad. Let kind of Frank Harris kind of nurse himself into the season a little bit. Yeah, I like that. I actually like that. So, yeah, I think UTSA comfortably, but just kind of how they do it is kind of what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I searched Army earlier, and this headline says, Bryson Daly threw for 3 touchdowns, including a 70-yarder to Isaiah Alston, which is like
it's disgusting.
Army?
That's so gross.
What? Where's the triple option?
Nasty.
I know. All right, let's keep.
Because one thing, you do that versus Delaware State. Like, okay.
Right, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Why pull it out there? Yeah, anyways. Let's move on. Baylor hosting Long Island University this Saturday at September 16th at 11 a.m. If you want, you can watch it on Big 12 Network or ESPN Plus. There's nothing on this game. Long Island is an FCS team.
My biggest problem with this Week 3 slate is not only like the games aren't that exciting, but you're not even going to learn anything.
I was about to say.
It's not even like, okay, let me watch the film versus Long Island. Let me get that all 22 out there and see. Like, I could see their blocking way better, and Sawyer Robertson seeing the field a little bit more. Like, whatever you do, okay. Like, I still have no confidence when you host Texas next week.
Right. This is basically a, hey, Sawyer Robertson, have a game type of just literally we need to be able to trust you heading into Texas.
Yeah. Don't get hurt.
Sure. If he throws some picks and all that, then we're kind of like, oh God, what's happening next week? But
Baylor's
not much else you can figure out.
Baylor's big issue at quarterback right now is not even Sawyer. It's not
Sawyer. He wasn't great, but like it's not quarterback.
It's not quarterback, but it's the fact that Sawyer Robertson got injured in that Utah game. No. He got rolled up on doing a read option, and literally they were fine on offense until the third quarter. He gets injured. They don't score again.
Isn't Devin Lemire out too?
Devin Lemire's out too, the safety, which this is fine versus Long Island. It's
sure.
But if Devin Lemire, Blake Shapen, both questionable for Texas. Both out this week. Both questionable for Texas.
Listen, I am firmly in the camp of free RJ Martinez. I was a fan of my boy at Round Rock Westwood, and he's the third string transfer from North Arizona, NAU. He played as a true freshman, or maybe as a sophomore. I couldn't remember, but he played at the FCS level. He is their third string quarterback. So if you're worried about Sawyer Robertson,
give him some reps.
All I'm saying is give my boy some reps. All I'm saying. Learn the name, RJ Martinez.
I when I was looking up a little bit about this game, a lot of people were calling it like LIU, and I was like, I need to spell this out on the lower third because there's not many people that know what LIU means. So I was like, we're just gonna spell this whole thing out.
Lower Illinois.
Lower Illinois University. Gosh dang it, that's good. All right, up next. Louisiana Monroe is traveling to play Texas A&M this Saturday at 3 p.m. You can watch it on SEC Network. Texas A&M. Comfortable 36.5-point favorites. The over/under set at 53.5. This should be just a get-right game for
I don't know. God, they need to stop having. See, the problem with A&M and the problem with their schedule is they either have a get-right game or it's somebody like not necessarily out of their but like Miami. Yeah. There's never just like, oh, let's play. I don't know who they played last year. I'm trying to think of somebody example last year some higher group of 5 team. It's literally any other higher group of 5 team than like ULM.
It's like they're on Guitar Hero and are alternating between easy mode and expert mode.
Right. There's no just throw medium in there.
Medium,
snip, snap.
Yeah, it's either Freebird or like slow ride. It's either one or the other. There's no let's just get our bearings right. It's like let's crush this team. It's like no. Can you get somebody within a touchdown of you guys? Like please. Yeah, I don't know. ULM's not very good. I know they're 2-0, but again, one of them was over Army, and then they beat Nichols. Cool. No, sorry, it was Lamar was the other one. So
okay.
FCS and then an Army team that's not playing like Army, so I don't know.
But A&M has kind of a nice ramp up looking at their schedule. They got ULM, then they got Auburn, who that's kind of the SEC team you want to face to start off with.
Exactly. Peyton
not to
Thorne.
look ahead too much, but this September 30th versus Arkansas is looking pretty juicy.
I like that.
Because
It's always good.
if they go out there and get dominated on the line of scrimmage by Arkansas, that's when I'm moving the panic button from out in my backyard to like next to my bedside table.
Sure. I get that. And I'll say you this much. Craven will be having a piece soon on maybe one side of the ball that's a little bit more alarming than the other. Everybody talked about the offense. Everybody talked about Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher. I mean, through 2 games at least, I'm not that worried about it, right? Like, I think there's some issues, some kinks to work out, but like, I think Connor Wigman's good. I think their receivers are awesome. Evan Stewart's going to be a first-round pick. Defense stinks, and that is not the side of the ball that's supposed to stink if you are getting all these great recruits. Craven will be having a piece on how they have a DJ Durkin issue on that side because Mike Elko left, and all of a sudden Duke's awesome and looks really good, and your defense stinks now. That's what lost the game last week. It was not the offense, as stagnant as it was at times. Tyler Van Dyke looked like a first-round quarterback against that team. If ULM comes out and does literally anything, I'm worried. Because they shouldn't do anything.
No, they shouldn't.
The problem with A&M's defense is, right now they've got the athletes, but they're just letting the quarterback play 7-on-7.
Sure.
Because there's no fear of him getting sacked. And then also they're getting run on with 7 guys in the box.
Yes.
So it's they're all very athletic, and I think they can figure it out, but just on the line of scrimmage right now, it's looking pretty shoddy.
So our good buddy Parker, Stats of War on Twitter, puts out his kind of visual graphics for every preview every week, where he has a lot of advanced stats. Texas A&M is 130th in EPA per pass on defense. 130th.
That
is awful.
That's awful.
That is almost. I mean, that might be I don't know how many teams are at 132. I think something like that now. That's near the bottom. That's basically as bad as you can get. So fix that if they want anything to go right, because Arkansas would mash that. I know they haven't looked necessarily the cleanest either this year, but doesn't matter. They will mash that if possible.
Yeah, KJ Jefferson, he running up the middle.
Sledgehammer 30 times.
He will sledgehammer them.
All right, Mallory, what's next?
All right. North Texas traveling to play former conference foe La Tech this Saturday at 6 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN+. La Tech, 5.5-point favorites. The over-under is set at 68.
Remember when I said that TCU Houston was the most intriguing game to me, but not the only game I am very interested in this
That's
weekend.
why I didn't put it as a top matchup of the week, okay? Because it shouldn't be.
I am very much interested in this game because I do not know. Let's put it this way. Brett Vito tweeted out UNC's depth chart for this week. It still listed Stoner as a starter, but it also still listed the opponent as FIU. So I don't know if that was a mistake or not. Regardless, that's either very funny that they still kept last week's depth chart up and just made it this week's, or we're bordering on negligence now as far as this offense is concerned.
I saw from a press conference, I think Chandler Rogers and Stone Earl are platooning right now.
I saw that
Which,
too.
I mean, I know you're 0-2. You just got to hope some guy catches fire. But, I mean, me personally, I'm not a big fan of the 2 QB system.
No, absolutely
I feel
not.
like you just got to pick one and ride and try to figure it out. Really, though, the offense has been an issue in terms of turning the ball over a little bit too much. But it's really just the defense.
Sure.
That's what we got to talk about.
Yeah.
The 3-3-5, they just don't have the personnel for
No.
it. They've got 2 defensive linemen who are 300 pounds, and that's barely, and Enoch Jackson and Roderick Brown.
And their best pass rusher is playing as inside. Mason Richards isn't playing to his strength.
Yes.
Mason Richards is 240 pounds,
Yeah.
playing against head up on offensive tackles right now. Last year he was so effective because he's an outside linebacker, being a free rusher and playing in space. I don't know. It's just the 3-3-5. I like how it is. I like it in theory.
Sure.
But watching it right now, it does not fit the personnel whatsoever.
Right. I think that we're seeing, honestly, it's kind of similar with, we'll see with TCU as well. TCU, because I know Joe Gillespie runs a 3-3-5 as well. We're kind of seeing, in my opinion, I think we're seeing it phased out a little bit because I think it's not, I lean more towards the 4-2-5 and kind of having two rangy linebackers, maybe a nickel that can a nickel defensive back that can kind of play the hybrid a little bit, because it's so hard in college football to find three big defensive linemen that can go 3v5 on an offensive line, right? UNT just does not have that, right? No. Alabama might not even have that at certain years. UNT, again, I've seen defenses struggle to go odd man front after they've been a 4-down front for so long, trying to convert linebackers, trying to bulk them up in an offseason. It just doesn't work overnight unless you are like a freak of nature, right? And like there's a reason why the only guy that I've seen it done to this degree is like a Micah Parsons level, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody who was a linebacker in college and is just a freak athlete that he can just be an edge rusher in the NFL seamlessly, right? He was a middle linebacker at Penn State. That's the only guy that I've seen. Again, a world-class caliber defensive player of the year caliber type player is the one. No offense to Mason Richards. He's not that. He can't just get in the line and say, yeah, I'm just going to do this now. Yeah, and it's like, no, that's not what he does.
Neither are 99.9%
Sure,
of people.
Exactly.
You know, it's not a knock on Mason Richards at all.
Right. So we'll be talking about the quarterback, of course, because that's a big profile position. But we said it this weekend, they're going to have to win games with this offense because this defense just is not good.
It was also puzzling, too, because the 3-3-5 now puts more emphasis on your linebackers as well, and they lost their two best linebackers.
I was about to say,
didn't really replace
If this
them.
was KD Richards last year, it'd probably be better, right?
Davis.
I'm not saying he would fix
Katie-
it. KD
Yeah.
Davis. Sorry. It'd probably be better because he was a freak athlete, and he'd be able to scoop up a lot of that, but he probably wouldn't be able to fix it, right? Because that's so much pressure, so much more pressure on them when the running game is just going to get through the first level like nothing.
It's like Kevin Wood's their best linebacker, but he's been injured like the whole time. He's like barely played in fall camp.
Yeah.
You know, he's got like 8 tackles, I think, this year because I don't think he played. It was either first game or the second game. I'm blanking right now. It was one of the games he barely even played.
Yeah.
Really. So he's been in and out of the lineup.
And La Tech, I mean, I saw La Tech against SMU, and they were overmatched. It wasn't a very good match.
We've seen too much La Tech.
Yeah,
already.
honestly.
Haven't we talked about it? Well, they played FIU last week.
They beat FIU,
or 2 weeks ago.
and then they beat Northwestern State. Yeah, week 0.
I feel like every week we talk about FIU.
I know they always come up.
And La Tech.
They always come up into something.
Number 2 USA,
there they are
baby.
again. And we'll talk about them. Let's see, in 2 weeks because they got UTEP, and then second to last week of the year they got Sam Houston. So we'll be talking about them again.
This is way more La Tech than I signed up for.
I know. But yeah, Hank Bachmeier.
Hey, we love
is
Sonny
like,
Cumbie though.
We do love Sonny Cumbie, which, again, that's a problem. Sonny Cumbie knows offense.
I know.
And Hank Bachmeier is, I don't know, he's not a world-beater quarterback, but he's a capable quarterback.
Well,
we'll see.
UNT also gave up 56 to a true freshman quarterback at FIU.
Also true.
Last week. So, I mean, you don't really have to be a world beater to
Things are not great.
to put up some numbies.
Things are not great right now. And, again, they're starting to run. I mentioned this is an easy schedule to start the year, right, on paper.
Yeah.
And they're running out of games that I thought that they could win.
Yeah, this feels like you need to win this game.
They're running them out. They're running out of them, so they got to find a win somewhere.
Yeah. So, okay, back to the one real quick thing beforehand.
Sure.
Do we see Chandler Rogers start at quarterback?
No. I don't know about start.
You
he
still
will
think
play
Stonehouse
earlier
is?
than
Okay.
when the third. I mean, when did he come in last week?
Third, I think.
Third. We'll see him soon. We'll see him like second or third drive. I think, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I really think. I think it'd be hard for Morris to do. It's the same thing for me, similarly to people who were clamoring for Malik Hornsby last week for Texas State when TJ Finley was getting sacked. It is hard to pull a guy who's voted team captain, right? Just like bench him, like in terms of like he's not the starter anymore. It's different to go like, here's a drive, okay, he goes 3 and out. Hey, let's try something new, right? So I can see how the hard eject button maybe isn't something he wants to do, as opposed to let him see, let's see what's going on. Okay, we're down 10-0. Switch right there. It's easier to make a call then as opposed to like this team captain that you guys like. Yeah, no, he's out. You know, sometimes you need to be that way, but I can see where he's kind of like having maybe some team morale kind of like things going on. I don't know. It's part of the complications of being a head coach.
Yeah.
Mean Green Nation, we need to buckle up and hunker down.
Correct. Sad call. Maybe happy call. Who knows?
Maybe. We'll see.
That did not sound like a call.
I was about to say, I was like a
Sounds like a
confused.
dying baby or something. I don't know what that was. Incorrect. Up next, Texas Tech hosting Tarleton this Saturday at 6 p.m.
Woo! Remember, this slate rocks, man. I love this slate so much.
You can watch it on Big 12 Network or ESPN Plus.
Yeah, Tarleton.
Hey, they're 2-0.
They are 2-0
2-0
over McNeese. McNeese
is pretty good.
Yeah, not a
They're
bad
usually
program. And North Alabama. I know nothing about North Alabama. So
You don't know anything about them. Wow.
No, don't know anything about them. Well, so with that being said, yeah, run the ball, Tech. Like, this is a team that you should be able to run the ball against without.
Let Taj Brooks cook.
I was about to say, let me preface this. Run the ball with Taj Brooks.
Yes.
Because they are running the ball.
Correct.
It's just too many times with Tyler Shuck.
No more
Yes.
power QB draws.
I don't need that.
Up the middle.
Exactly. I don't need you to do that with your injury-prone quarterback. Get out of Dodge. Everybody brush their hands off, get a dub, and get to the good times again.
If I'm a Tech fan, here's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Taj Brooks, 15 carries.
Sure.
Tyler Shuck, 2 carries.
Yes.
Also, no turnovers in this game.
We need a clean game.
There's been some turnover. He's not playing poorly.
Yeah.
He's just turning the ball a little bit over too much in the first 2 games. Let's have a clean game. Let's no turnovers. Just be the game manager this time. And then on defense, let's get home to the quarterback because there has been a rush these first 2 games, but it's just not staying disciplined in the rush lanes. What Joey McGuire's talking about in his press conferences, it's kind of like they're getting some pressure in the backfield, but they face 2 mobile quarterbacks in Wyoming's Andrew Peasley and Oregon's Bo Nix that have squirted out of the pocket.
That's a good point.
Gotten 50-plus rushing yards both those games.
Yeah. That's a good point. I like that. I'm looking at Tarleton's roster right now, trying to find. They don't have a lot of Texas guys on offense. I'm a little concerned. They do have Keelan Johnson, who I remember from Lake Ridge, who I think was Chandler Rogers' wide receiver there. But that's the only guy I really recognize. So
Trayvon West is one of the receivers. He's from Arlington Lamar.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There he is. Nice. That's a good one. Okay. So there's some people. I don't know.
Texas.
That's
Tech,
what I like to do with like FCS teams. It's like I remember that guy in high school or something, but. Tarleton, get more Texas guys on your team.
Texas Tech 0-2 right now, but really just nice schedule coming up.
Oh,
West
100%.
Virginia, Houston, Baylor, all teams who are lower in the Big 12.
Yeah.
This is where we build some positive momentum right here. Let's no stumbles. Let's go to what? How many games did I say? Okay, this game, let's go 4. They can be 4-2 when they go to Kansas State.
Yeah.
And then the vibes are back on.
I was about to say,
turn the vibes back up.
And then you're just riding vibes. It doesn't matter about being favored or not. You're just riding vibes at that point. So
it's like 0-2 stinks, but it's like you got everything you want to play for still.
100%. I agree with that.
Tarleton sees Micah Hudson commit on Monday, and they're like, crap.
Yeah, it's like, dang it.
They're like, oh, dang it.
It's going to be rocking in there
gonna-
again.
I know.
He told us we were in the running.
Shoot. Anyways. All right, another banger coming up. SMU hosting Prairie View A&M this Saturday
let's
at
go.
6 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN Plus, baby.
Yeah, I mean, look, SMU, heartbreaker last week. It was not a devastating loss, but a game that you were very much in until late. I mean, look, just show out and flex, right? It's a SWAC school that you're going to be favored against. I think they beat Texas Southern. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about these kind of games. Prairie View is going to compete in the SWAC, but they're not going to compete against SMU.
No, they won't.
I think it was really good. Preston Stone looked a little shaky to me when I
they started really sloppy against Oklahoma.
Started pretty sloppy against Oklahoma, but I do think he did make some nice throws, and I think it'll be very good for him in the long run going up against Oklahoma because they throw like 20 different defensive fronts at you.
Sure.
So the fact that he was able to like see all of that and go up against Brent Venables, I think will be good for him in the long term. I don't think they ran the ball very well against Oklahoma.
Sure.
Rhett Lashley said in his press conference, if you look at the stats, you wouldn't think they ran the ball well, but they did run the ball well. I didn't really think it was all that explosive. I mean, they averaged 3.4 yards per carry. When I knew they were kind of screwed is when they did a fumble Ruski to try to get the running game going and got 5 yards. And I was like, okay, that's really tough.
Yeah, they're really scraping here.
The O-line needs to just get healthy.
Yeah.
Logan Parr, Justin Osborne both got hurt. The defense, they played good.
I'll say this. I think the hype for the defense is warranted because they had a lot of people on my timeline wondering how long Oklahoma is going to be doing the Dylan Gabriel thing. Because a lot of people were clamoring for, like, I don't want to say bench him outright for Jackson Arnold, but like Are we going to roll with this guy for 2 years? It was a lot of those kind of questions. And so I think that's a credit to the defense, basically having them ask that question 2 weeks into the year.
It just feels like Oklahoma's offense is straight up RPO slant, like every play.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's a Browse offense. It's Jeff Levy. So, like, it's unfortunate. But, it is kind of an offense based out of 10 things that were happening 10 years ago.
I think SMU's defense is good and better, but they also, like, it feels like they miss a tackle every single play. Like, that's just me watching the game. Like, it just feels like the first guy never brings them down.
Yeah.
It's like they always have to gang tackle, which is, like, you want to see.
Yeah.
But there's dudes just flying in.
Yeah.
Just whiffing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, I'd like to see that kind of shored up a little bit before I'm ready to go all in on the defense.
That's fair. That's fair. I can agree with that. All right, Mallory, what's next?
Let's continue with this slate. Rice hosting Texas Southern this Saturday
Woo!
at 6 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN+.
All right, on a real note, I'm an Andrew Body fan for Texas Southern.
Definitely.
So before we get on Rice and how they should take care of business, Andrew Body's awesome. Yeah, from Corpus Christi Miller. I believe his wide receiver that year, they made the semifinals or the regional finals. Lonnie Atkinson is at Sam Houston. So if you are just interested in watching just somebody you may remember from high school, right, check out this one and check out Southern quarterback Andrew Body. He has not started the year very well. He started pretty shaky against Prairie View, and I think they got blown out by Toledo last week, because, but other than that, Rice take care of business. Rice looks actually pretty good this year. Mm-hmm. If I'm Rice, I want to do this. I want to show that last week wasn't just us playing with our hair on fire, and I want to actually roll over at Texas Southern and play that same brand. JT Daniels pull him by the third quarter, things like that. I think he should be. I think if they win this, they'll pull the Houston sweep officially because I'm not trying to think of another school in the FBS. Or I guess they don't play Houston Christian, but in
we run
1.
Houston.
So, yeah, they will officially run Houston at that point. So
that is weird to think about.
I know, right?
I don't really have much to add on this game,
no,
honestly.
really isn't much to add.
But the one thing I will say is I kind of want to see the running backs pick it up just a little bit.
Sure.
It's been a little bit too pass heavy for me, too dependent on JT Daniels and Luke McCaffrey, which, look, if you got JT Daniels, use them. Like, I'm not saying go game manager offense and, like, really just pound the rock, but, like, the running game needs to be a little bit of a threat. I also want to see this defense improve a little bit because you showed, it was 28-0 versus Houston. You show you have spurts where you play really well, but you also let Houston way back.
28 unanswered, before they scored again and went to overtime.
Which, by the way, like, that says a lot about Rice that they're able to still win that game after giving up 28 points.
Sure.
Golly, I know. Well, in double overtime, right?
Yeah, they were able to hold on. So keep it going. So
keep it
we'll see.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on. There you go. That's a good way to put it. What's next?
This one's kind of intriguing. Wyoming traveling to play number 4 Texas this Saturday at 7 p.m. You can watch it on Longhorn Network. Texas favored by 28.5. Over/under set at 48.5.
Yeah, this one is
Do
kind
you
of
feel like this one might be one that they fumble?
I'm going to say Wyoming covers just because 28's a lot.
Yeah.
Even if I think Texas is really good this year.
Yeah.
28's a lot for a Wyoming team that could probably win 8 games or so.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say they cover, but like 24.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't be shocked. I also wouldn't be shocked Texas just takes care of business and just if they are just
rolls
locked
them.
in this year and they just mow over. I don't know. Is the high from beating Bama enough to get a little scare at the end of the first quarter? Maybe. I don't know. Wyoming didn't exactly play the cleanest game against Tech. It was a lot of Tech, just kind of like what's happening here.
Yeah.
But I saw last week they took care of business against a Portland State team who made the playoff last year.
Is that the same Portland State team that got blown out 80-7 to Oregon?
Yes, because Oregon was angry. Because I think Oregon was angry. I think they were just mad. But I'm not worried about this for Texas. I would say 28's a lot, so I'm going to say Wyoming covers.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
it would be extremely disappointing if Texas came out and fumbled this one.
Oh, sure.
Like, extremely.
Oh, sure.
I think they're going to go out and take care of business. I think this is a different Texas team than years past. Like, I don't think this is like the meme Texas is back team. Like, let's wait for them to falter. I do think they are much better, and it's not fair to compare this group to years past group. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to come out and dominate. It would be very disappointing if they came out and played with their food a little bit. The one thing I would say, going off recent history, and I talked to Mallory about this, like, her team, North Texas, is very down.
Yeah.
In terms of Texas fans, they're number 1 in the power poll. you've reached this mountaintop, but you stand on a tower of Jenga blocks right now. Like, it is very easily, this can go wrong in October.
True.
So you got to be wary of it. It's not fair to prey on their downfall and say they're going to mess up. It's Texas. They're going to mess up one of these games.
Right.
And I'm not saying that, but you should have a healthy fear of it and know it's a possibility.
Sure. There you go.
All right. Moving on. Not yet. Now we're moving on to you're going to be at this game.
Yeah.
Texas State
Yeah.
hosting Jackson State this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. and you can watch it on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, look,
Home
when I
opener.
first saw this game last year on the schedule, I was like, why did this happen? When Dion was still on the sideline, I was like, who booked this game? Please tell me who booked this game. Because that was before Dion was at Colorado. That was still before G.J. Kinney was hired. I just remember looking at the schedules like, why is the home opener a team that can beat them? Please, what's happening? Needless to say, when Dion got the Colorado job, I was very happy. And I was very much looking forward to this game. This should be, look. We should finally see Malik Hornsby for all the right reasons in this game, right? TJ Finley should be able to take care of business. They should be able to protect him because I mentioned how I was worried about the offensive line if Nash Jones is indeed out. They looked really bad against UTSA. They should look better, and whether it's Trenton Scott or whoever's working left tackle, should be able to protect TJ Finley. Defense has been playing fine, in my opinion, so we'll see. I think Jackson State lost to Florida A&M already this year, so they've had a disappointing loss already by their standards. Again, I'm looking forward to the crowd. Right, I don't know if they'll push 30,000. I don't think it'll be that kind of crowd. I think the loss last week maybe took a little bit of luster off what it could be, but still, I'd expect 25 plus. That's what I'm hoping for. Probably 25 plus. It is a late game too, so like you can have a good tailgate crowd out there. I was worried if this was a midday kick because I'd be like, there's no way anybody's showing up for this in the middle of the heat. But regardless, I'm gonna be there. I'm excited. This will be my first home Texas State game since I left the beat in 2016. So
Really?
yeah, haven't been back.
Why?
I work up here. I work up here. Like, it
still.
hasn't been a reason for me
Been
to,
busy.
Yeah, like this is and I'm back on the college
True.
staff this year. So like, we always just sent if there was a reason for us to cover in college, we always just sent Craven or Shahan.
That's true.
So yeah, it'll be the first time I'd be, and I never been as a fan because work.
But what happens, because I feel like TJ Finley's the guy.
Sure, I do too.
I feel like he's the guy. What happens, though, if, like, they're taking care of business, they pull him out, and Malik Hornsby just looks insane? Because that's like, now it's a little awkward here.
Oh, sure, 100%. To be fair, he looked insane during the spring game.
Yeah.
And that's why and I know there were some people who on the media there who thought like all the Finley stuff was smoke. Because it was like Malik Hornsby looked like the best player on the field in the spring game. And it was just like, he's just not going to start. And it was like, there's no way this guy's not. I think TJ Finley's the guy. I think G.J. Kinney knows what he has in him, regardless of what happens with Malik Hornsby. I wouldn't be surprised that they have Hornsby packages going forward, but
they tried to get him out there that last game. They sent him out there, and then they called a timeout. And then they took him off the field.
So
kind of like just teasing,
I don't know if
in
that
and out.
was second guessing or UTSA wasn't showing the look they wanted or whatever. But yeah, I did notice him go out for a fourth down, and they pulled him after calling a timeout. So I don't know. I think we will see him here though. Probably if all things go into plan, he starts the second half, but we'll see. I think this is this is a good chance to show what the momentum of Texas State as a program is like, right? Because if you come out and it's like 10,000 people, it's like, oh, it's not really that great. If you come out 20, 25, okay, awesome. People aren't too deterred from last week, and they're really excited for what's going forward.
I'll preview a piece we have dropping later in this week, but Texas State, literally like 76% of their receiving production is from transfers. Their biggest impact plays on defense are all transfers. G.J. Kinney didn't get the publicity about it, but he really followed the Coach Prime school of thought.
Sure.
In
I think
terms
the difference was, and to your point, yes, he did absolutely do that. I think the difference was Prime was openly in like meetings going like, yeah, you're off the team. Like you guys aren't going to be here. And Kinney, like a lot of guys who left went to like Oklahoma State, and like they just went to premier schools. So he kind of had to scrounge together a roster. But to your point, yes, he did literally do what Prime did, literally just like 10 players less.
Yeah, and you're seeing how that is kind of rejuvenated the program a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's brought excitement. There's a lot of different types of talent that I didn't think they could, like TJ Finley. You kidding me? A guy who started multiple SEC games for multiple SEC teams. I didn't think he'd be a Texas State guy. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to go though. It should be a fun one.
All right, let's close it out with UTEP heading to Arizona this Saturday at 10 p.m. You can watch it on Pac-12 Network, Pac-12 After Dark. Arizona coming in as 18-point favorites. The over-under is set at 56.
Oh, was this the last year of Pac-12 After Dark? I just realized.
It could be.
Dang it.
It could be.
I'm very disappointed.
Also, I was listening to a podcast today, and Pac-12 has 8 teams in the top 25 right now.
Yeah, they have started really well.
That's funny.
Off to a hot. They planned that.
They
planned that. Like,
I'll tell you what.
There's no way. This is all a conspiracy theory. Okay. Like.
I tell you what. That Pac-12 conference, the years from now, it's gonna look real. It's gonna be really interesting to watch them.
So, if you're
they don't exist.
Mallory, do you know the little sneaky storyline here that actually is kind of interesting / heartbreaking for UTEP fans?
Is it the wide receiver?
Jacob Cowing.
They
have to defend a wide
Yep.
receiver that put up 1,000 yards for them just a couple years ago.
I know.
It's
One of
gonna
their
be like,
best receivers.
I don't know. So for all my soccer fans out there, they'll recognize this. Whenever a team that leaves a team and they play against their former team, whenever they score, they do like the hands up, like they refuse to celebrate kind of thing. Yeah. That's gonna be Jacob Cowing when he gets to the end zone. He's just gonna drop the ball, hands up, and be like, "I'm not. You were my brothers. I'm not gonna celebrate against you guys.
You were supposed to defeat the Sith, not join them.
Join them." So yeah, I think he's been battling injury because he's only has like 6 catches so far this year, but I think he is healthy for this game, which would be just
in time.
Oh, just a knife right to the gut of UTEP. Because again, he went to more prominent pastures. You can't blame him. And he's also from Arizona, but it's still got to hurt to be like, you were killing Conference USA
especially
for us.
Especially if he does just very well.
Oh, if he just has like 150 yards against him, it's like, oh God, what happened?
Because that was 2 years ago, right? So that was when that was when the whole UTEP UTSA game blew out of the water, right? So that was like UTEP's year.
Yeah, that was when they made it back to a bowl, and it was big hype, in the Sun Bowl, and
it was because of Jacob Cowing,
yeah, it was. He played a big part in that. So
that's kind of the funny thing about the transfer portal now is like. It used to be, I'm transferring because of bad blood. I'm not playing. Sure. Screw this program.
Sure.
And now it's like, Coach, thank you so much for everything. I'm going to transfer now and really test myself at the next level.
Right. I'm going to go to this program over here.
That you'll probably play in the future.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, Arizona's a big favorite in this one, obviously. Jaden DeLauro, their quarterback, did throw 4 picks last week against Mississippi State. Again, that's an SEC school, but he is shown to be turnover prone. Mm-hmm. Is that something UTEP can capitalize on? UTEP, who has a not bad defense, actually probably bad this year. In the past, hasn't had a bad defense. This year, to start the year, it hasn't been great. But can they get something going by any type of turnover, any type of momentum swing going that way? I don't know. They'll lose by a lot, probably. But in my opinion, I think that on defense and then offensively, can they sustain any of this stuff that they've done decently in the run game?
Yeah. We need to see more.
I'm not expecting a win. No. But just, they ran the ball pretty well, and can they keep doing that against a team that's probably going to win by 20 plus?
Yeah, I don't know. It might be a long season for UTEP. I don't know. I mean, let's just I'm not like super excited about a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah. Like I said, that's why I'm kind of hoping the run game is actually something. Because in the past, they haven't been able to run the ball at all. And this year, they've shown to kind of be able to do a little bit. So, hoping. We're fingers crossed over here that with Deion Hankins and them is finally really starting to kick off. So,
and then Sam Houston State has a bye.
Oh, okay,
so
there you go.
That's
nice.
the only team. We're getting into bye weeks now, so
that's the team that needs a bye.
They're
bruised up right now. They need to. They need some practice on offense too to figure out what's happening there.
Yes,
they're still waiting for their first touchdown in the FBS.
They need to go have the entire team get in the cryo chamber.
Yes, literally,
because they are wow.
Yeah, it's bad on offense. It's very bad. It's very bad.
Playing Sam Houston right now. Have you seen that meme going out? Like, my nephew had his football game and the kid's walking off the field and his like jersey is ripped to shreds. and he's
just played Sam Houston.
and they're like, did he play the 2000 Ravens? Like, what happened? It's like that's like what playing Sam Houston is like.
It's like you're probably gonna win 10-3, but like you're gonna come out looking like that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh God. But yeah, so that'll do it for us this week. It's a slate. It's football games. Like I said, I'll be at Texas State. Craven will be in Houston. Carter, you gonna be anywhere? You gonna?
No, I'm gonna be
Couching it?
local.
Nice.
I'm gonna be couching it.
Yeah, I mean, have your mind. Again, there's not much to pay attention to in terms of like big storylines. We got a couple, but it is what it is. Regardless, we'll be back Sunday with a recap episode. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to hit on. Small plug as well for Texas Football Tonight, by the way, Friday nights. I know this is a college football show, but I will plug our fantastic high school scoreboard kind of red zone-y type show. If you're interested in that, 7:30 on Friday night. And I believe Nick Laupius and Gavin Moritz will be on the desk for that one. Gavin making his Texas Football Tonight debut. I'll be back next week on the desk, but this week they're kicking me out. No, I'm kidding. It's because I'm going down to Texas State. No, but Gavin will do great. I'm excited to check that out as well. And yeah, please like, subscribe, all that stuff. Remember to listen to all the shows for all of our affiliate shows on the ROF feed. Like, rate, subscribe, all that stuff. Share. Look at TexasFootball.com. Become a subscriber, please. TexasFootball.com/subscribe. For Carter Yates, Mallory Hartley, I'm Ishmael Johnson. Jimbo Fisher, please pick up the phone. We've tried to call you. Every other coach has listened. And, of course, go Rutgers.
2-0.